Hello and welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Abed Grover. Thank you so much for joining me. Today on our program, we'll follow the path of Israeli legend Hana Szenesh, 70 years after her execution by the Nazis. We'll host the organizers of an event combining real estate and art. And we'll hear about an animated documentary about the first Intifada. The Casanovart group brings together art and homes. They throw events in which contemporary pieces are displayed in exclusive apartments and homes in an attempt to mix the art and real estate crowds. Earlier this week, they had an event here in Jaffa, and now Yael, David, and Stephanie Atias are here in the studio to tell us all about it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, let's start with the event that was just this week. What was happening there?
So very close to you, it was 5 minutes from you. We created the first edition and the first event from Casanovart. The concept was to create, as you say, an exhibition of different and a masterpiece and contemporary art in a luxury and exclusive house by Sotheby's. So we want for one night to be like a fairy tale night with unique and just for a few hours the pleasure to have some guests, selected guests coming in very exclusive place and have these feelings that art is very close to everybody and that you can have art in your house, and also when you have this power to be so rich that you can buy this kind of house, you can have also this kind of art in your wall.
Yeah. How do you choose the artists to participate in the event?
We look for them and we select them, and then Stephanie is is a curator for 20 years. So we are trying to find artists that are very new, like the one that was there was Ronen Tinman that makes a piece of design with auto.
Right.
With luxury
with elements from cars, yeah, we can see.
From cars. And we had Michal Führer that also is very new, like it's really contemporary art, like new contemporary art.
Yeah. Now, if you mention the young emerging artists, nowadays we have Fresh Paint, the Fresh Paint Fair, trying to encourage emerging artists. Yours is kind of the polar opposite of it, right? That's not really for the masses.
No, we want to create this intimate evening that's not the masses that we have in Fresh Paint. We really want to have this kind of deep and close relationship between art and people, that people, like you see in the picture, they feel so comfortable that they can even sit, they can even touch the art, that usually it's not permitted.
Yeah.
So we really want to have these feelings that, okay, art is close to you, you can have art in your life and you are part of the art. So really create this relationship that usually you cannot have in other places.
Yeah. Again, this is for a very exclusive crowd. Are there enough people to throw an event like that?
Actually, we were surprised because we were expecting 100 people.
Yeah.
Because we wanted that it will not be crowded too much because looks is space. But we received 300 people.
Wow.
Like it just works so well. And but the idea was also to have like the 5 cents. There was also like for the smell, good, like La Maison du Savon.
Wow.
And we had music and good wine, good, like every sense were just awake.
Sounds wonderful. How do you get the word out to the right crowd?
That's our secret. No.
Some kind. Just everything is about networking. In fact, people are coming to do networking, and we are using our networking. We are using also Sotheby's, our main partner, to bring his name and around the corner, and people are looking to be close to this kind of group. And we have also some partner like Bruno Art Market that bring his customers. So everybody want to be involved in this kind of event because it's so new, fresh, and definitely something that they're looking, and especially in Tel Aviv, to have art in new house and luxury house, because now we can see that they are just building as fast as they can.
Certainly. So this way you can buy the apartment and the art that's already in it, and you're set to go.
Exactly.
Maybe one day I'll be invited to such an exclusive event as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Yael.
Thank you. Also, you can subscribe to the next event that we're already preparing on our website, www.casanovart.com.
All right. I'll be sure
maybe
to
you
do
will be
that.
selected.
And maybe I will be selected. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Moving on now, Hana Szenesh is a mythological figure in Israel, sometimes called the Israeli Joan of Arc and presented as Israel's first feminist. She was among the first Jewish paratroopers. In 1944, she was sent to her native country of Hungary, where she was apprehended by the Nazis and executed 70 years ago this week. David Gombin and Pazit Dank followed the story and the legend of Hana Szenesh, who remains controversial to this day.
She was a feminist. This is something you can find both in the letters she wrote and in the writings in her diary, and also in her attitude.
We actually didn't find in her letters any reference to the theme of equality or the fact that women are discriminated. Her views didn't refer to this topic, as if it didn't exist, but we can find clues here and there.
For 70 years, Hana Szenesh has been in Israel a Zionist and feminist hero for some, and a myth for others. Her intellectual heritage is still controversial, sometimes called Israeli Joan of Arc. Her destiny, recorded both in her diary and in her correspondence, is tragic. An ideal journey to becoming a national myth. Let's start with the facts. Born in Hungary in 1921 in a family of assimilated and intellectual Jews, in 1938 she gets involved in the Zionist movement. In September 1939, as war breaks off, she immigrates to Palestine, where she joins the agricultural school of Nahalal. In 1941, she was among the pioneers founding the kibbutz of Sdot Yam, close to Caesarea, a life made up of fastidious tasks as described in her diary. In 1943, she enlists in the British Royal Air Force and becomes a parachutist in the famous SOE. Not a trifling fact for this 22-year-old woman. She is then sent on a mission to Hungary, where she is soon caught by the Nazis on September the 7th of 1944. She is killed by a firing squad. 2 years later, the myth is born. In 1946, a first edition of her diaries and letters are published, a partial and abbreviated edition. According to Ruthie Glick, who wrote the book on the topic, those editorial interventions contributed to the myth building.
They have mainly censored her criticism from her experience in Israel, her difficulties, and they made her much more heroic. All the difficulties were made less prominent, and the ethos and mythos were stressed, and those things strengthened the heroic image.
Although, according to her nephew, this myth building seems to be legitimate, since she showed a real attachment to Zionism.
There is a strong significance to her words in her understanding of what we're doing here in Israel. She was writing before the Holocaust happened, or before it was clear what happened during the Holocaust. It was a more pure Zionism.
In a country in progress where socialist values of equality between genders were dominant, Hana Szenesh was pushed forward as a hero, a feminist hero. Ruthie Glick, who's fluent in Hungarian, read the original manuscripts and found that the original translation served the myth.
Yes, they were in need of a myth, of a combatant woman, and she served that myth. But I think we need to look backwards and say, okay, what really happened in her life?
I think that according to the spirit of the time, it's hard to say that it was a fanatic kind of feminism. She had thoughts about equality between men and women.
She perhaps wasn't an enthusiastic feminist, but her social background might explain her views on life in the kibbutz.
Her feminism was bourgeois, which was different. Really, it wasn't rebellious. This is a feminism of high-class ladies, educated ladies, who sometimes had a profession, but they always remained in a certain family framework, wherein the man is, it always remains within the established order.
For the first time in exactly 70 years after her death, Hana Szenesh's entire untouched diary and correspondence is published entirely in Hebrew. It's an opportunity for a new generation to make their own opinion about the heroic and the feminism of Hana Szenesh.
Now, we all hoped polio was a thing of the past, but in Pakistan, the disease is still a problem. Ongoing campaigns in the country now have support from an unlikely source. Here's Shachar Peled's story of the Pakistani polio-fighting superhero.
Pakistan's first animated female superhero is back, and she has a new mission, fighting polio. The Burqa Avenger is lending her powers to fight her country's worsening polio crisis. According to the World Health Organization, more than 85% of all polio cases this year were recorded in Pakistan, the only country in the world to see a rise in the number of such cases in 2014. Burqa Avenger, a teacher by day who uses her martial arts skills to fight criminals by night, was launched last year, aiming to present moral lessons and stress the importance of girls' education. Now, her animators have turned their attention and their characters' efforts to polio.
We always have a social issue or a social message that is the centerpiece of each show. And of course, with the rising number of polio cases, the WHO has declared a medical emergency. There have been 200 cases now. It's alarming. The situation is alarming.
Polio can kill or paralyze a child in hours. There is no cure for the disease, but it can be prevented by immunization. However, the Taliban, the local governing shura, and the religious leadership in North Waziristan have banned vaccination for the past 2 years, accusing polio workers of being Western spies or part of a plot to sterilize Muslims.
The bad guys in this TV show, they steal the polio vaccinations, and then of course Burqa Avenger has to come to the rescue.
In the animated episode, the Pakistani heroine comes to the rescue of the children. But in the real world, some 240,000 youngsters have missed UN-backed vaccinations in the country, as the battle against the disease seems far from over.
Very important stuff. We're staying with animation. We're welcoming Ranin Boulos to our studio. Thanks for being here.
مرحبا أهلاً. Thank you. So we're going to talk about a Palestinian movie. It's claymation. Animation movie.
Old school.
The director it's two directors, one Palestinian, one Canadian, Amer Shomli and Paul Cowan. The movie is very special and very funny. He used cows to describe the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, especially in the period of the first Intifada and the Oslo agreement. Let's see.
Let's take a look.
And then we'll come back.
We are Palestinians. We deserve to have a home. We deserve to have our land. We deserve to have our freedom. And we deserve to have cows.
For me, as a teenager at that time, it was about the fun and about, proving that we can stop Israeli cars and vans and products coming into our city.
Well, first of all, the artwork is beautiful. It's incredible.
It is. It's beautiful. This is why this movie won many prizes. And a few days ago, it won a very big prize in a movie festival in Dubai. And it keeps going. And there's a big future heading for this movie.
Yeah.
The thing that Amer said, one of the Palestinian director, which he was the main figure in creating this movie, he said that today, the Palestinian generation is facing two aspects. It's either they are the victim of the occupation and the defeated ones, or they're the radical ISIS style.
Right.
So he's bringing the third aspect of the Palestinian generation who is into arts. They're dealing with the conflict and expressing their feelings and everything they've been through art. And this is a new form, actually, of arts.
It's also a voice that is rarely heard. I mean, we don't see that light-headed approach, humorous approach to these very, very serious topics.
Yes, this is actually the new thing that we were saying about the young Palestinian generation who is trying to use all the, reach all the tools and use all the tools, especially and new arts to describe their conflict. Now, the interesting thing is the funny thing is that they're using cows. Now, Amer, one of the director, he said that maybe some of the countries in the world, maybe they don't know Palestinians and they can't relate to Palestinians. So maybe they will relate.
Everybody has
Everyone
cows.
relates to cows. So maybe through cows they can relate to him. But it's actually a very sophisticated and clever movie. It brings a very clear point, not only about the occupation or about the Palestinians in the Oslo Agreement in the first Intifada, but also as a criticism on for the Palestinians, for the ones that agreed to this agreement.
Right.
So the whole cow thing.
Any chance of it coming to Israel?
Yes, why not? I'll work on that.
I'll leave it to you, Lanin.
I'll do my best.
You're responsible in my mind. Thank you,
Thank you
so much. Thank you for joining us as well. I hope you enjoyed watching our show. We'll be back tomorrow with our best of edition for the weekend, and we'll be back Monday with a whole new show. Be sure to join us then.